So we are joined by, I think he wants to remain anonymous because of the nature of what he does, but what he does is he's an election rigging specialist. And I remember last episode I told you guys that we're starting this Human Betterment Society.
Got solid bazookas.
And so we want to actually help our listeners and our audience better their lives and become better humans. Last episode, we taught you how to nag women. And this episode, we're going to teach you how to rig elections, specifically in favor of Kamala Harris. So, guest, I don't know if there's like a nickname or something you want us to call you, so I don't have to just call you guest. Is there a nickname you want me to call you?
Baby
Spice.
Spice.
First, let me introduce myself. I go by Leo. You could just call me Leo.
Okay.
But that you're absolutely right. Leo. I cannot disclose my name for a variety of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But technically, if you look at the type of work that I do, there are many names that I have used in the past that might be recognizable in order for me to achieve this goal of rigging any type of election.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, you might know me as Murray Fleischer, Maria Rodriguez, Joe McMurphy, Shaquille Estevez,
Mm-hmm.
Margie Frampton.
Mm-hmm.
The list goes on. Jamal Williams, right?
Why?
Travis.
So you have all these names.
Harrison.
So what are these? What all are these names you're saying right now?
Voters.
These names are people that exist, used to exist, or completely made up. The premise of fraudulent rigging of an election is to gather as many people, whether they're fictional or not, to cast votes in favor of the party that you'd like to elect. I have a long history of rigging elections.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when people hear election fraud and they think about something that's been rigged, they think it's like the mainstream, right up in, that everybody's aware of, a national thing. But it's not. Election rigging is common in our own neighborhood, right in our own local schools, and has been for many years. Whether it's the PTA trying to elect official, or it's a sports, an athlete getting an award, or the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, any of that, comes under, the option of having that contest rigged.
Yeah, so you've rigged all those things: PTA meetings, Boy Scout elections, however that
Absolutely.
works. Wow. So okay, you have a storied history here. So tell us a little about what you did with this election.
Well, my goal this time is to save this country, and I believe Kamala Harris should win this election. We're at a cross path right now, but what I've done in trying to secure that to happen is I voted over 300 times in many different counties, in every county, in every state.
Wow.
Under a fictitious name, in a goal to sway the election in favor of Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
I voted in battleground states. I drove out there in person to sway the election and to convince, the people that work there, these election officials, or voter officials, to work with me.
I think one of the things we want to really get across to our audience, and you tell us better, but everyone thinks Kamala lost, but is it true that you still have some rigging techniques our audience can use in order to still put Kamala over the hill here to help her win over Trump?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Thank God.
The voting process, and there's also a recounting process. And there's been a lot of energy, prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what happened the last 24 hours was a couple of oopsie doodles on my part with the rigging. But that can all be corrected.
Mm-hmm.
There was a switch that went the wrong way, or there was voters that voted incorrectly.
Yeah.
And all those things could be corrected. We could come up with new names. You look at the South. There's voting stations in the South that aren't even done counting yet. These
all right,
people,
awesome.
they have a hard time reading.
True.
So we have the opportunity to recount, go in there, skew the election or skew the recount, and that's the goal.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So that's good news for our audience. So we can still rig this. So let's get into it. You actually prepared a PowerPoint presentation that we want to pull up on screen here. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but we have it here for our audience at least. Nice. How to do voter fraud, a manuscript of heroics. Okay, very cool. So Dirk, go to the next slide here. Hit the arrow key. So the first slide you prepared here is why I love Kamala. Can you get into this?
Absolutely. How could I not have this opinion of this woman without first expressing it, right? Well, she's smart, she's intelligent, and let's face it, she's absolutely gorgeous, right?
Dirk, hit
she's
the next
beautiful,
key.
She's got very nice skin, very soft. She has a character that, could identify with many of the people in this country. Her personality, I love the way she, wings her hair, her smile, her laugh, very endearing. Those are the qualities that we need in a leader. She stands for a myriad of different platforms. We could go on, and we don't, what she stands for and how hard she works. We don't have time in our discussion here.
Well, one of the things you outline is abortion.
Right. Well, in this particular case, abortion has been a topic that has been on the forefront of elections for the last 40, 50 years. It's an old issue. Okay. And the bottom line is this, and this is what she supports. There's a segment of beautiful women out there that they choose, they want to take control of their bodies, and if these broads want to go out and give themselves an abortion, what right do I have? What right do we have?
Yeah, and Giselle loves getting abortions.
That's a good example of how hard she works.
Yeah. And then tell us about what you mean by gay stuff. Hey, Dirk,
jump back and forth if you can. Let me first say that I'm a big proponent of the LGBTQ2P, community.
Yeah, us too, I mean? Absolutely.
I am very, very in favor of whatever floats your boat. You know what I mean? Whatever cup of tea. The world is not just a salt and pepper diet. You know what I mean? But in this particular case, whether a dude is lopping off his penis or she is developing, coordinating a vagina like a cod piece.
Areolas.
You know what I mean? It's up to them. You know what I mean? I think it's very important that we support these groups of people. You know what I mean? I don't really care who has a penis, who doesn't.
Yeah.
As long as my leader does it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
So let's get into some of your techniques. To pull up the next slide here, Dirk. So what's your first technique you do to rig elections?
Well, the first thing in mind when you go to rig election is you want to accumulate as many names as you can and vote early and vote often. You want to be able to use those names of people that might have the possibility of voting. You want to take their vote and make sure it's placed before they get to the voting booth. You know what I mean? You could get that from a family member, a neighbor, somebody that waits on you, in the deli getting your coffee, a coworker, a deceased relative. All these names can be used, in conjunction with creating more people to vote.
Okay, so
like I said,
use as many names as possible.
300 times with different names. I'm exhausted. I've been all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we thank you for your service in doing that for Kamala. It didn't work yet, but hopefully by night's end, we could finally turn this election in her favor. But when you mentioned you voted like three...
I think we can, Tony.
Well, yeah. So when you voted like several hundred times, where do you get all these names? Tell our audience how they can find names to vote under.
I'm sorry, how do these people what?
You voted several hundred times with different names. Tell our audience how they can find some names to vote under except besides their own.
Well, some of their names are right there in front of them. Names of neighbors, people they work with, people that they, a loved one, a loved one, or a long lost relative, a coworker, a spouse. We've even used the technique where we involve imprisoned criminals to get their identity.
Oh.
There are times when I created a situation where I would go visit a prison and meet with these guys, right, and try to wiggle out their identity so I could use their name to vote. And all I really had to do was convince them, hey, listen, I'll set something up for you. I'll get you laid, give me your identity, and absolutely had no resistance with that.
Giselle, how do you feel
Very
about that?
old school way of doing things.
Giselle, would you do a conjugal visit to a prison and lay some prisoners so they vote for
I would
Kamala?
coordinate that.
Oh, he could
I
coordinate it
would
for you,
coordinate
Giselle.
that.
You open for that? I mean, how badly do you want Kamala to win?
I mean, I'm sitting here pondering it right now.
Okay, well, what's the verdict?
I'd think about it.
Wow. So if anyone's in the chat right now, if anyone watching is in prison, let us know. And Giselle, I think, is going to be open to doing a conjugal visit with you guys.
We want to get as many names, as many people out there to take part in this process.
Yeah.
It's not too late.
No, absolutely. So Leo,
go back.
Before you came on, we actually voted as Giselle's dead grandmother. Is this true? Is there a technique you use specifically to vote as dead people?
Yes, it's actually one of my favorite ways of voting. You know what I mean? And not only is it an easy way, and it's a very old-fashioned way of getting names, but there's also a historic element to it. What we have done, and again, a team of people work with me. I'm the specialist, but there's people involved. We go into a graveyard and collect names from gravestones.
Oh, cool.
And some of these names are from the Civil War. You know what I mean? And you get a little bit of education, so it piques an interest of people. And we gather these names, and we create a relationship at a voting location, and we use those names to place a vote in our favor.
Yeah, it's cool you mentioned the Civil War. Giselle loves Robert E. Lee. I think that's her favorite Civil War superhero.
Abuelita. Abuelita.
Were you trying to summon her again?
Yeah. Abuelita. 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 Abuelita.
Wait,
work!
She's back. So we got a dead grandma right here again. Maybe
do a vote.
Let's vote for her.
Abuelita. Abuelita.
2 votes.
2 more votes for Giselle's dead grandmother.
2 shots if you got him.
All right, so Leo, tell us another technique you use that our listeners can help put Kamala as the next female president.
Well, one of the most common ways of defrauding people is the elderly.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right? Let's face it. The elderly could be the most stupidest people on this earth. We all, but we love them. We all have them in our families. We reach out to them.
Not for long.
But that definitely is
Abuelita.
Enough with your dumb dead grandmother. Sorry, go on.
Gam.
Well, what I was saying was getting an elderly person convinced to make a vote works tremendously. You know what I mean?
Because they're so stupid.
One of our techniques is that we show up at the voting sites early. We get a sense of these people. Usually it's the elderly that show up early. They want to make their nap. They want to be there for their meds. They want this done and over with, right? And what we do is we go to assist them. There are times where I'll tell an elderly person, listen, you're here on the wrong day. It's tomorrow. Election day is tomorrow, and they leave. I told old people, election day was yesterday, and they think they voted already, and they leave. And then there's those people that need assistance, and those people that we bring into the voting booth, a fake booth type of situation, and I'll elaborate on that also.
Yeah, what's a fake
And that's
booth?
where we create a relationship with the voting station, and we let them know, we give them the ideal that we're there to help. and we come up with a system where we develop a place for people to vote, a spot in that site for them to vote, this fake booth. And when they go cast their vote, they think they're voting for Trump or any other kind of crazy guy, and nothing's casted.
Nice.
You know? So we accomplish it that way.
Okay, cool. So you trick them. One of our viewers here actually has a question for the guest, for Leo. He's asking, if I use the name Trumpstein, what are the chances of making it to the White House?
Well, the only thing that I could say is that maybe you would be entitled to a tour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even to this day, that name is not going to get you through the front door.
It also it might get you $1 billion too.
Wow.
Wow.
Maybe not, but so all right, so you create these fake booths to trick the elderly. I think that's a really cool, brave tactic to treat people like that. I mean, the elderly puts a burden on so many young people. We have to take care of them. We have to give them sponge baths all the time, and really, they owe us one. So tricking them to vote for who we want them to vote for, I think, is really the least they can do.
Right. You're absolutely. It's a payback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what we're doing, we're using their abilities to help us improve this country.
Yeah.
You know?
And
it's a positive.
yeah, but a question I have is, tricking the elderly is one thing, but what if like the Republican that you're trying to trick isn't elderly? How do you trick them into voting for Kamala?
Well, I don't really like the word trick. It's convince. It's sway. You know, lead them to the right way.
Right.
You know, and one of the groups, one of our populations out there are, you know, minorities. You know, people fairly new to this country. You know what I mean? A lot of the Latino and Hispanic community. And quite honestly, I don't know how Trump was able to convince these, you know, working class population that he's the man for them. But regardless, I mean, talk about brainwashing. But regardless, a lot of these people come and they need assistance. You know what I mean? And they could be swayed with some lies and a little BS to, you know, kind of think that they're going to a particular place where their vote matters.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been times where we've told people, like, listen, go to the local church, go inside, pray to the Blessed Mary, and that's your vote. You know, go to, you know, your local McDonald's, look at the value menu, make a particular order. Good enough. I had an experience one time where I asked my Latino landscaper to do a massive job, bring as many people as you can. I told him, that's your vote too. You know, so some of these people, you know, just want to make it like they're doing the right thing for our country.
Yeah.
And you know what? And that's how I like to perceive what it is that I do.
Yeah, that's smart, because sending especially Hispanics to church, they're usually very of the cloth people. So they probably actually believe. I mean, Giselle knows firsthand. She probably fell for one of your tricks. Is she one of the minorities you've tricked? Do you recognize her?
No.
No, I could say that would be, I get the sense she's very unapproachable. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I would go ahead and try to sway her opinion.
Concur.
She probably has a switchblade.
I am so approachable.
She seems like a tough cookie.
I'm the happiest one here.
But not, I mean, Kamala's losing. We need to help. You're not happy because of that.
Oh, no, I'm not.
You're almost sick to your stomach. You didn't.
I know, but I'm normally a happy person.
So, Leo, we got to wrap up soon, but is there one more technique you use that you could teach our audience so we could sway this election?
Absolutely, Tony. And you know what? I just got to thank you for bringing me here tonight and to like dispelling the mystery of what it's like to be a fraudulent specialist in this area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's for the good of society. But anyway, we have what they call a fake crisis. And what that is that we create mayhem, a complete panic situation. You know what I mean? Where people are arriving to vote, especially those MAGA lovers, you know, and you go after them and you create a situation where you got to get the hell out of here, because there's a shooter inside, or there's some type of impending doom. There's a January 6th scenario coming your way.
Ooh,
and they leave, and no vote is ever done. That's a technique, believe it or not, Tony, is very, very effective.
Yeah, I believe it. So it's like a fake crisis. It's almost like you're a crisis actor.
Exactly. I've been a crisis actor for almost a decade.
Wow.
You know what I mean? With these elections, the last 20 years, we got to be on top of it, you know?
So, Leo, let's wrap up. Appreciate everything you taught our audience, but do you have any final words you want to tell us here?
Well, my final word is this, and this is an appeal. This is an appeal to the voters and the population of this country, right? Our nation is in a crossroads right now. We are on the verge of becoming something greater than what we have been. You know what I mean? Kamala Harris will lead us to the light, will lead us to where we are all free, we are all happy citizens of this country, and this is what we need. This is the person that we need to take over the reins of leadership and government of this great country of ours, right? She's the girl next door. She's the hottie on the corner, right? She's that first boob you touched. She's the girl knocking on the door, every door, looking for a dead cat, helping people with groceries. You know what I mean? She's the all-American, and that's who we need in the White House right now.
She's the first boob.
And I think anything that different from that is a sense of doom, and that's where we got to rise from, and that's why we got to go back. It's not over yet. Cast your revotes, skew those recounts, and be an American, and God bless America.
Wow, very powerful statement there at the end. And you mentioned getting a rise. I'm almost getting a rise after you said the first boob you touched is kind of a beautiful metaphor for Kamala. So really appreciate you doing that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so
no, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for teaching our audience how to rig the election. I know the election was yesterday, but it's not over yet. They're still doing recounts in a lot of battleground states.
It's still counting.
So thanks again for coming on. I hope everyone learned something, and I hope everyone gets out there to rig the election for Kamala. I think we're all convinced she would be a way better president than Trump. So thank you, Leo, for coming on, and I think Kamala's going to win. Thank you.
One is the way that you